Yeah, you're a decorator.
Yeah, decorator.
Yeah, no, like it should be
You're HR.
true.
Yeah, okay.
I was kidding. We're not going to tell them you're a decorator.
I know. I'll do it. I'll play along.
Hey, y'all, I'm Haley.
I'm Lisa.
This is the Haley Cakes podcast. So today we're just a podcast talking about creatives and just entrepreneurs in Austin and Texas, and hoping you leave with a little bit of, I don't know, creative inspiration and ideas for your own life and business. So today we've got my dad on. This is Larry.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Good to be here.
Sorry if we're a little weird. This is our first official full episode. So we're winging it.
Yeah, we are. We're just going with the flow.
Yeah.
I do what I'm told.
Yeah, right.
That's what we all say to each other, and none of us mean it at
None
all.
of us ever do it.
That's
No.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's right.
So me and my dad kind of are business partners, and yeah, I pretty much handle the decorating room, and he does everything else. Lisa does everything else, and my dad.
Yeah, Lisa does it. Lisa does it all.
When people ask me what my dad does, I say financials, and he does all the business end of everything.
And he's our HR department.
We call him the HR department. Yeah.
The maintenance guy.
Oh, very important.
Of course, y'all do a lot too. Y'all do a lot of everything too. So.
I guess.
I don't do maintenance.
Yeah, except maintenance.
We don't know how to do the books or
Y'all are
anything
messy.
like that.
Y'all are very messy.
Hey.
Yep.
Messy.
So I guess tell us your background. Where did you go to school? What did you do?
Man, I don't like talking about myself. Really,
Oh,
You
but
have to.
I could. Well, I went to. Let's see. I could go.
I don't want to.
Talk about myself. Well, let me tell you, man. When I was born, I had this little bit. I was. We went to school before Haley was born. I went to college. We had a life, and then before kids, it was fun.
Where'd you go to college?
Yeah, I went to college, Texas State, right here in San Marcos, where Haley went. All my kids went there.
Yeah, we all went
For a
there.
while,
Isn't that
except
weird?
Chase, but except Chase. But yeah, I went to Texas State, graduated, went to work for a big company, oil field company, and for about a year, then I got fired. It wasn't for me. I had a problem.
I got fired.
Yeah,
I
got
wasn't
fired.
for me.
It wasn't for me.
Just tell it wasn't for me.
I had problems with authority and doing things. I wouldn't stay in my area. I was in sales. They told me you can't go in call on those drilling rigs in the wrong area, and I would do it anyway because I wanted the business, and they finally fired me. So anyway,
Is that what made you start your own?
yeah, I came back. I had a buddy I met. And we were in Shreveport, Louisiana, and he moved to Houston, and he said, "You need to come back down here to Houston, man. I can get you a job working with these guys." And I went down there and worked for about 3 months with these guys, and kind of learned a little bit about how to run the business. It was a small group of guys, and I just they were nice guys. I left and said, "Hey, I want to start my own thing and do a spinoff of what they did." They were like a copycat of certain oil field parts. They would be like if your car, you got tired of going to the dealership and buying the parts. Well, everybody, they call them the OEM, original equipment. Well, everybody would go out and make them somewhere else, like go to aftermarket. So nowadays they call it aftermarket parts or alternatives and stuff. We were doing that. But they called us back then bootleggers, because they didn't like it. They said, it's a bootlegger. They're just copying all the parts because we could sell them cheaper. So that's what I just started doing with my own business. And it was a real success because nobody was doing it for these type parts. It was good. And I was young. I was only 24, 25. And it was a big success and made a lot of money. So like any 25-year-old with a lot of money, I was spending it fast. Man. I was spending, going crazy. And I was getting into all kind of other deals. Once people think you have a little money, deals start coming at you. And plus my college roommate, my best friend at the time, was a president of a bank, VP of a bank in Houston.
Well,
Perfect combo.
Yeah, and we had a lot of fun. But we had a good time. But he would get people coming in wanting to borrow money, and from him, and it wasn't really a bankable deal. It didn't have collateral or something. It was kind of risky. Well, shoot, he would send them to me. Say, hey, I got a buddy. This guy, man, he'll help you out. And so we got into some crazy deals back then.
We still call him the Bank of Larry.
Yeah,
It's
and
weird.
yeah, really. Some of those deals were fun, and some of them were just ridiculously crazy. But it gave me an education on how to start a business and run one, and how not to do one and start one.
Yeah.
We got off into some crazy stuff. That's how the Somalia days and the seafood business all came out of those days, and it was all crazy. But
Yeah, he sold.
when you're young,
What are
it
the
was
weirdest ones you did? You sold lobster?
This one, yeah, we had some guy wanted us to go. He said, "Man, I got this order for these lobster tails, spiny rock lobsters. You see them everywhere." He says, "I can get them off the coast of Africa." I said, "Well, where's Africa? Where in Africa?" Somalia. And nobody had heard of Somalia at the time. It's like, where's Somalia? So we went. We said, "Well, we just fly over there and check it out. I got everything lined up." So we flew over there. I flew to Somalia, and we went to Mogadishu.
And Mom was like,
it was like
9
Mom was
months
pregnant
pregnant.
with
Hated.
Yeah. And so I bugged out, and then I realized real quick, man, this place is not really, how are we going to get lobster tails? And anyway, it was,
After he got
the
there.
whole story in itself was very unique and very adventuresome, and it was crazy. But long story short, we didn't get anything. And it took me a hard time to get back. Things were going on in the country that we didn't know. It was hard getting out of the country, and it was a great adventure getting back. But anyway, about 3 months when we got back, that's when you look at the paper, it was Black Hawk Down, or where all this stuff was going on in Mogadishu. I went, well, no wonder we couldn't get our lobster tail. I said, dang, man. But anyway, that was the craziest one we ever did. But
my favorite is with Mr. Ray when y'all went and had to drive. Was it just dirt? Somebody bought dirt.
Oh yeah, that was a funny one. That one actually worked well. We had a guy, and this was recent. Well, not recent, but when we were still late. People wanted to buy some garnet, they call it, or anthracite. It's like coal in bags, and we shipped it from New York to California, and we had rail cars, and we had a big. Everything was an adventure. We had to go out there and try to transport it off the rail cars onto trucks, and we were trying to do that ourselves, wearing golf attire because we were playing golf out there, and we had to try to mix our business with pleasure and everything we did. So it was kind of a funny story. But you get into those kind of things, but those actually worked pretty well. That one did, but anyway. But for the most part, I was in the oil field business. We did parts. We were in manufacturing and supply. We in service. I manufactured things, and that was what I did. And I owned a business called MPD Bearing Services. I did it for a long time, and I sold it there toward the end to a company, a big investment group out of New York, and stayed on with those guys and learned a whole different side of business. I was an entrepreneur up till all my life, and then when I went on to work with these guys, it opened my eyes to how things are run in a investment world in a bigger company and this and that. And I got to be at the top of the heap toward the end. And so I got to see how it was like to deal with boards, and it was no fun. So they also fired me. So after that, it was kind of after a long period of time, but it was good. They usually do that when they buy people's companies, and and then they get tired of the owners and the old owners, and you're usually gone anyway. So.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, but that was just kind of that's it in a short version. But my life has always been an entrepreneur. I like doing what I like to do, and without anybody really telling you what to do.
That is, I would say that's one of the best parts about being an entrepreneur.
And my crazy daughter got us into the bakery business.
I would say
It was good.
if there's one thing I had to say about my dad, it's that he always knows somebody. He's got a connection for everything.
He's got a guy.
His Rolodex is this big.
Yeah, you
He's
meet
like,
people
you know
along
what?
the way.
We can't find anybody making powdered sugar. And he's like, I think I know somebody who does that. And if he doesn't, he'll find somebody. He knows he's at least 2 degrees of separation from someone who does.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's crazy.
That's the advantage of. I've had the luxury of really being independent, and then you learn to find sources, especially when you're small and you don't have a lot of money or people. So you had to kind of be industrious and find the source yourself. So over the years, it's kind of helped build a good Rolodex of people. It comes in very helpful, especially if they like you. They'll help you out.
Yeah.
On the way. So
That's true.
that's been a good lucky on my part.
That's what he's always telling me is don't burn the bridge. You need to just chill out.
Yeah, that's right. You never
Don't
know.
do twisting off on people.
Well, Larry's like the kind of guy, I feel like it's like everybody he meets is a friend kind of person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like he's like friends with everybody right away. Even if he secretly doesn't like them, they'll never know.
Yeah, that's why we call him the
Yeah,
HR person.
Right.
Because you got a problem, we say, yeah, you just go talk to Larry. He's HR. He'll make you feel better about it.
Except that one time that girl called, and she was all mad. She was really complaining about Haley or Lisa or something, and they were.
Nobody would ever do that.
And she was going. I was just listening. She goes, "You're not HR. You're Haley's dad." And she got all mad. And I didn't say anything. But she just figured it out. I guess because I made my last name at the time.
That had to be our first
"And what's your name?"
year.
I said, "Larry." I tried to evade telling her my last name, and finally when I did, she goes, "You're Haley's dad." She got mad, hung up the phone.
Yeah.
So she just
Well,
hung up
what
the-
did you think? We're a corporation.
Yeah,
It was like a
Sorry.
600 square foot
Yeah.
building that you worked in, lady. I remember that was the first year. That
was the first year.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what we asked.
You know what? Because I remember being so upset because one girl was like, she wouldn't have even succeeded if it wasn't for her dad. And I was like, that's just so mean. And I remember my dad saying like, what's so bad about that? And I thought that changed my whole perspective. Like, what's so bad about that? So what? Yeah, your dad helped you, and that's great. Who cares? Some people don't have that. And I was like, you're right. It is fine.
Well, but she would have succeeded anyway without me, I think. Anyway, but
Not this big. We wouldn't be here.
but yeah, everybody needs help going again or getting things going. Yeah, we even need help. Even once I was involved, we still needed help, so we had to go. You got to use those resources. You got to use that Rolodex all the time to get where we got to go.
Yeah. That kind of goes back to how we got started, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
We just kind of, how did
Yeah,
you
it's
decide
funny.
to start helping me and stop? You kind of transitioned out of oil field.
Yeah. I just
Wasn't like
left that last job with the people that bought my company. We went public with it, and it became really big, and I wasn't happy, and it just was a bad deal. So we really left. They didn't really fire. We parted ways, and it was very good transition. So I was left with a little bit of money, but I still needed to work, and so I said, I don't know. I was burned out on the oil field. I'd done it all my life, and Haley at the time was doing cookies out of her apartment, going to school, and we knew she was busy, selling them over the internet and stuff, and she said, Dad, I want to sell these out of my apartment and do it full time. I want to quit school. And I said, no, you're a year away from getting your degree. I'm old school. I thought, get that degree. That's what I was always told. And then she goes, Dad, if I get a degree, I'm going to make, X amount, $20,000, $30,000 a year as a secretary or something. And she goes, I'm making $6,000 or $8,000 a month out of my apartment. I said, what? So she said, I'm selling cookies out of my apartment for $8,000 a month. I said, well, hell, quit school, man. Get out there. So anyway,
And she did quit school.
She did quit school.
I just remember you being shocked because I was like, well, you were trying to hold me off. And then I was like, yeah, I just signed that I would start paying a lease at this pizza kitchen.
That's right. He
was like, you didn't sign anything, did you? And I was like, I did.
Yeah, I remember that. Because I'm so picky about everything being
You won't let me
legally
sign
right.
anything without
Sign
reviewing
it.
it.
Yeah, she
Which
did.
is
She
smart.
said, I got a central kitchen. I said, oh, you did? I was more worried about what kind of deal she got into rather than it was the right thing to do. But
How did you go about finding Rise and Shine for us to bake?
somehow we found this bakery. I think, Haley, we did the central kitchen for a while. And we were helping her. I was helping her driving back from Houston. I didn't have anything to do.
I think he never half-asses anything. So I think you were like, I was literally paying, I think $1,400 for a 6-foot table. And you're like, if
Yeah.
you're going to do this, we might as well just find something that we could just get off the ground. It's already going. You just
That's right.
go in. I think you started looking for it.
Set up a good central kitchen. That was nice.
Yeah.
But then at the time I said, let's look for, Haley always said, I want to get a brick and mortar, a retail shop. And I said, man, that's a lot of work. Let's see if we can find a business that's already running that we can convert it over or something. So that's what we did. I think my first Google was this guy. I can't remember his name. Very nice guy.
Yeah,
He's
he
a
was
business
nice.
broker. He goes, hey, man, I got a business. It sounds like it might be just right. And I said, well, let's take a look at it. And it was right there at River Place. And it was very ironic because the owner was a father-daughter team. It was called Rise and Shine Bakery. And the guy's name, I remember his name was Greg, and Michelle was his daughter. Greg owned a concrete company here in Austin, very entrepreneur guy. He's about my age, and we hit it off first right out of the box. I called him, he goes, I mean, he's a very easy guy. We had a lot in common. So we hit it off, and he goes, yes, my daughter, she's very talented, reminded me of Haley. And she was a little bit older than Haley at the time, but she reminded me just of Haley. She was very talented, and she'd been working that business for 10 years.
It was 10, yeah.
10 years, and she says she's just tired. And I said, I tried to get her to let her sister take it over or do something with it because it's a very good business. She goes, but she just burned out. And I said, well, okay, well, so we cut a deal. We bought it from him. And Michelle, you could tell she's ready to go. And she was a very skilled guy. But that's kind of how we ended up with it. We bought it, and then Michelle showed you some really good tricks on. She did nothing but cakes.
She taught me how to do cakes because I really didn't do cakes.
Haley didn't even want to do cakes and didn't even know how. And Michelle was the queen of it. This girl could.
I would say she was way ahead of her time. She just didn't do social media.
Right.
Or she would have been exploded.
She would have exploded. But it was kind of, it was right before the social media
She was doing stuff
craze.
that was way ahead
She was a natural. People knew about her in the area and was very popular. I think she was on Cake Boss or something once.
No, Cake Boss took her design.
Cake Boss took her design. Yeah, that's what it was. She had very creative girl, but she could do a cake, and Haley would go, God, I've never seen somebody do a cake that fast in my life. You know, where is she now? We could use her.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Hey, you want to come back?
Yeah. She's going, heck no. But anyway, it was a great deal. We found it, and obviously once we got in there, they were doing lunch and breakfast at the time. Remember that? And we tried to do that because it was a profitable thing. But Haley said, this is just too much. I can't do cookies and yada, yada. And we did away with the lunch, did away with the breakfast, although it was really good. And we just did away with it. Started doing cookies only, and then cakes, and then so it started. It just kind of was continuous growing because of the social media thing. Haley really brought a new element into it. And it took us a while to get the local customers transitioned over in that area. Remember that? And because they loved Michelle. They said, man, you're not like Michelle. You don't, but we ended up winning them over, I believe, at the end. We're still there.
I think so.
I think we won them over. Or there's a whole new group there. But it worked out good.
Everybody always asks, like, how did you decide to get started in this? And I just feel like we never, like, sat and decided anything.
Yeah.
Which we never do still.
No, everything
we
was
just
spur of the moment.
Somebody decides something and then we're like, okay, we're going that way.
It happened so quick. Like I say, it's the first call out of that we found it, and then everything just kind of happened really quickly. We closed that business, and I was used to, buying businesses and close, so it was easy for us to do. We closed it really quick, and it was everything's quick. Even now we do things quick.
Do you remember that first week, what you were doing? This is what's crazy is the first day we were supposed to close on the business, you were going to come up and help me because I just really didn't know much of what was going on. And he got in a motorcycle accident.
Oh yeah.
He was in the hospital. It was awful.
Yeah, that was a bad deal. I got in a wreck the day we were supposed to close. So I had to close of our Zoom call in the hospital. And I was in a body cast.
He was.
And I was saying, Haley, sign that place and sign this.
It was.
But that's not how
it was crazy.
Yeah, it worked. I was all drugged up, so I would have signed anything. So, we got it done. It was good.
My question is, what is the biggest piece of advice? What is the worst piece of advice you've ever gotten from someone in regards to business?
Oh, man. Well, there's a lot of them. It's mainly the deals that people come to you with. I got this deal, or I got this deal. And they make it sound so good, and they're so bad. Once you do get some experience, or you do a little homework or do a little checking, you realize how bad they are. I
always feel like it's hard because you get so excited about it. It's easy. People get you excited about it, and then you have to kind of back down. You start looking at the actual way it would work, and it's like, we better not.
It is. It's easy to get excited about something because you want to see it work, and usually people can paint a very good picture. They're all upside anyway when they're trying to pitch a deal. They don't tell you about any of the bad stuff, so it's really hard to focus. And I can't remember any specific one that was a bad deal. Other than the shampoo was a bad deal, the lobsters was a bad deal.
No big deal. Just worked for Paul Mitchell.
Yeah, Paul Mitchell.
Right? Isn't that who it was?
Yeah,
that was
Back then it was Paul Mitchell, and I think I forget who owned it. There was a guy, I think Sam or something.
He was helping bottle it. You bottled it or something.
People, yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. But anyway, but yeah.
So what advice would you give somebody trying to take an idea and turn it into an actual business? You just have this idea. How do you decide if it's worth going for?
Yeah, that's the tough one. I mean, I think if everybody would just take the time to, first of all, sleep on it like a couple of days, everybody gets these ideas and they get all excited. And they think, oh man, I think, and they next 2 days later, you'll notice that you're not quite as excited. You're more rational, and then you start doing your homework, like check things out, But it's hard. The number one, I think, if people think of ideas and what they want to do, like they want to start a business or come up with something trendy, they need to just get on the damn Google and start Googling, and you'll be shocked that there's already stuff out there.
It's already been done.
You will find 90% of the time, somebody will be already doing exactly what you're thinking of.
Well, when's it worth to compete with them?
That's right. That's when you got to look at what they're doing, how they're doing it, and then start putting your mind into thinking, what if that was me? Why are they this level of why aren't they bigger than they are? Why are they doing this? And just start thinking things in that way. If that was you, then start thinking of the reasons it might be that what's causing that, and then it'll help you realize if you want to do it or not. And then during that process, you'll think, well, that's why they're not big. They got a crappy product, or they're doing it wrong. That's what you can improve and do it better, and that's how you go compete with them. Decide if you want to do it or not. But and what your idea may be just a slight different twist, or that alone may give you a different twist. But I'd say just research it, man. Research the crap out of your idea. Get all the information you can possibly get, and then start thinking outside the box. Start getting off that mindset of I want to be rich or I'm going to be famous. Start thinking about all the problems you're going to have and how you're going to deal with them by researching what's out there and looking at things from outside the box. Like if you're going to critique it for somebody else, what would you start critiquing? And that's answers you'd have to figure out yourself how to answer, and then that's the first step, I would think,
Yeah.
And there's a whole long list of stuff,
I guess what we've talked about kind of like how hard it is, and I think like how would you even explain to somebody how much you're going to have to work to make your idea work?
Yeah, that's another thing. You got to be it depends. Unless you're born with an inheritance or a trust fund, and you got access to a lot of money, you better be prepared to work like even if you do have a lot of money. If you do have a lot of money, you got to make it. Nobody's going to care like you're going to care. Yeah. And if you don't have a strong work ethic, I don't think you're ever going to succeed, to be honest with you. That's why most people, they say the statistics of failing are way more prevalent than succeeding in starting a business.
Well, and you can only hire so many people before it doesn't make sense, and even they're not going to care, especially if you're not. Yeah,
nobody's going to care. So you got to really know your business. You got to be prepared to learn your business and all the different aspects of it, so you can carry it through when you can't find people or can't afford people to help you, and that's the thing. But yeah, that's one of the tough ones.
What do you feel like's the biggest difference between, because you have all this experience like oil field machinery and fishing for lobsters or whatever you did? I don't even know. It's like what's the biggest difference between that kind of stuff versus a bakery? It's completely different businesses.
I know.
What was like the strangest thing about moving into like food service?
It was to me it was refreshing in a sense. The food industry itself. Well, first of all, it's a happy business. I always said everybody's happy when they come in to buy something here. They're in a good mood. They're doing a party, and they're not in to have a problem. Like in the oil field, it's like, shit, something broke. I got to go buy something. Or my equipment broke down. I got to go fix it. Or it's a problem, and it's something they don't want to deal with. And plus, it's very competitive in the oil field, and there's other people, and you're fighting. And it's a different mindset. They're very aggressive, and their competitors are very fierce. And I've noticed in the food business, hell, your competitors are actually calling you up, hey, man, how can I help? I'm going, what? There's a trick here. I'm very, it took me a while to get over that. People want to kind of, it's a different, even the competitors have a different vibe. It's not such a go for the juggler type. So I enjoyed that about this business. But
unless you're on social media.
Yeah, unless you're on social media. Yeah, that's a whole, that opened my eyes too. That whole social media, heaven forbid, man, that social media is a whole monster. But but Haley handles that very well. But yeah, I like it. It is, but it's basically business, the same thing. Like Haley gets mad at me sometimes because our problems in production. You're producing cookies. It's just like when I own machine shop, manufacturing. You got special machinists that are,
Loud.
You got to kind of deal with. They're skilled and they're hard to find. Just like here, it's hard to find skilled decorators, but it's kind of a lot the same. There's a lot of similarities, and it's very similar, and especially in the operational world and the accounting world. But it's all same. But it's unique. Even Haley's business, the bakeries here it's a different type bakery because it's so custom, and it's so specialized. It's a very difficult business.
Yeah, I feel like most
Very
people,
difficult.
at least with the bakery business, like they kind of stop at a certain point because it is so hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to grow it if you're not the one physically making everything.
It's hard to grow it. That's back to that work ethic, man. You got to put in the hours that Haley and Lisa put in. There's not very many people that would do that to get to this point because it is special. You can't find somebody with the skills that they have to make what our core business is. And so they have to do it. So they put in incredible amounts of hours to get through the times where you need to, till you can find people or figure out other ways to grow your business that don't rely solely on you. And so that's a challenge. That still is a challenge today.
Yeah, I think people kind of have this false idea of what it's like to be an entrepreneur. They're like, oh, well, I'm the boss, so I don't work. And actually, It's like, no, you work more. You're going to work more than everybody.
Yeah, you work
for a
more.
while.
Yeah.
Well, and I think you have to, you think, I'm going to have a bakery. I'm going to sell decorated cookies. So I need to work really hard at decorating cookies. No, you need to work really hard at, if you want to expand, getting people in with you. How do you train people?
Yeah.
How do you manage people? That's what I had never managed people before this job.
Yeah.
It's a hard learning curve.
It
Is
was
harder than
hard.
It's
decorating
very
cookies.
difficult.
It is harder.
A million times harder.
It's true what they say, the more people, the more problems. But it's hard to get motivated because their goals in life are not the same as yours.
Yeah.
They may be here for different reasons. They definitely aren't the same as yours. And so it's hard to manage them because you think that they want to think like everybody thinks like you do, and they really don't. So it's hard to find that. It's tough to manage any people.
Yeah, if you
That
want
is
to
a
go
challenge.
beyond what you personally physically can do,
Yeah.
it's less about doing it. It's about find other people to
That's
buy
right.
in with you and,
Yeah.
and want to learn and get, them to enjoy working for you. And
Exactly. Yeah. You got to create the environment that makes them want to stay here.
and
be
everybody's
involved.
different,
Everybody's got
Yeah.
a different button to push. Yeah. And it's but that's the whole battle is you want to surround yourself with good people. That's what makes for great companies and shitty companies, I believe. And you get good people around you, and then it makes it great.
Yeah.
Takes the pressure off of the owners or the people that work their butt off. They can get a reprieve every once in a while, and turn it over to people who can help them.
What is your best tip for getting people to buy into your company and want to work for you?
I used to say just money, which is still is a biggie, pay them enough. But there's been studies that,
That doesn't
true
matter.
motivation is not necessarily all about money, and I really believe that people they don't want to be unhappy. They want to like what they do. I
Yeah.
think. And you got to create something that they like to do. You can't really create. They either like it or they don't. But you can make it an easy, enjoyable place to work without, and treat people with respect. Nobody wants, especially nowadays, nobody wants to come to work and have somebody just barking orders at them all day. And I think people want to be treated with respect. And
I think that's kind
that's
of
kind of the biggie. I think, and they feel
Sometimes I think that's why people don't like working here. They some people want to be managed more, and I kind of think like you do, where it's like, well, I don't want to be managed, so I don't really want to manage you. Like, I want you to take off and just understand the goal. You work hard and do it. And a lot of people don't work well that way.
Exactly. Haley and I probably cut out the same mold. It's like when we hire somebody, we say,
Yes.
"Nice to meet you. Here's what you're gonna do. Was give them a 5-minute deal, and then
Let me know if you want me to show you anything.
let me know. Yeah, if you need anything, let me know. I'll be glad to help
because
you.
I
And
don't
then
like
we
being
never see
talked
him
to.
again.
Yeah, I don't like being talked to like I'm dumb, and so I don't want to over-explain.
Yeah, you don't want to overexplain.
But that also, I mean, it makes it where you automatically under-explain, but it's like,
yeah.
I don't know. I'd rather
It's
teach
tough.
myself, and so it's hard for me to then talk to somebody else. And like, okay, I always preface it like, I'm like, if you understand this already, just like forget it. But I'm just gonna say it again, okay? And they're always like, yeah, lady, I've never done this before. I have no idea.
And it's tough. It's tough to do because you expect them to learn fast or know things already, and then when you get frustrated with them, and sometimes you may say something or get frustrated with them, but then you start thinking back and go, well, damn, I never really told them how to do that, you know?
Yeah.
Or you kind of, it's kind of it's a hard thing to manage, but that's part of the challenges too. You got
It really
people
is.
like
Every
Lisa.
person is different.
Everybody's
you have some
different.
people
Yeah.
that they want just the most clear. They want a minute by minute play of what you
Yeah.
want their day to do, and some people just want you to say hi and then disappear for the rest of the day.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and
And,
you gotta-
and they won't tell you which one they are. You have to figure
You have
it
to
out.
read it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
You have
that's
to find
right.
out the hard way by doing the wrong thing
Yeah.
to them, and then you'll
Yeah,
find
yeah,
out what they
right.
want.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly right.
But once
Yeah.
you know, it's
Yeah.
like, okay,
Then it
I
can
know
be
this
fun.
person. I gotta,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
give them a little more attention and love, and this person wants no love.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, people are the challenges, and I love these people that have businesses where they, like Google or all those guys, how they started. They probably had 5 people, you know, or 3, and they're sitting somewhere with some cool electronic idea, and they're making all the money over the internet, and you know they don't have a lot of people and a lot of stuff to deal with. But if you got one of those kind of ideas, and shoot, man, we're all in on that deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
We want to hear it.
More ideas that you don't have to
require-
physically make with our
Yeah,
hands.
you don't have to have a big, 20,000 square foot place or 10 or whatever filled with equipment and things,
Yeah.
But although that's fun part of it, but it's very expensive and a lot of headaches.
Maybe it'd be fun to talk about how did we turn into a family business? Because I don't think we
Oh,
did not start.
I
In
don't-
fact, you told me do not ever hire family, and then here we are.
It's true. All my life.
And every year
I live
we
by
hire
that.
another family member,
I know.
and every time we're like,
Every
no,
time
no,
we
never.
go, what the hell are we doing? But
Just
it was
kidding.
it was
I
funny.
love you all.
And I tell my
We're
wife,
gonna fight tonight now.
I know. Tonight we go away and fight. I told my wife all these years, the whole years I've been in business, 20. She always, there were times when she'd say, "Why can't I come work for you? You need some help." I said, "No, man, it's not a good idea." And we always made a agreement because when I left work, I wanted to leave work. I didn't want to come home and talk about work. So I always
That's
made
what I
a
always say.
rule to keep family separate and work, and it worked great for 40 years. And then Haley comes
And then
around.
the bakery happened.
And then I messed it all up.
Then the bakery house, me and Haley started out really, and then it was the same time. Rhonda, my wife, Rhonda, it was she was just finished teaching or was off on a. She
She had switched
off
from
and on,
kindergarten to middle school, and so
middle
she hated
school.
middle school.
Yeah, she hated that teaching, so she quit teaching also at the same time I sold my business. So we were both free. That Haley was probably really regrets that to this day, but we were both free to help her. It worked out, so we both started helping her, and then so we were involved from the beginning. Rhonda was working in the kitchen, coming up with recipes with Haley and everything. I was taking care of the business, and we started. That's how it all kind of started, and it quickly became a full-time gig. Me and Rhonda were busy all the time, man, doing stuff with Haley, and it very quickly became full-time. And then one day, Chase, my oldest son, Haley's brother, he said, "Man, I hate my job. I hate it." I said, "Well," he wasn't making anything. I said, "Well, quit. Come to where we could use it." He has skills like Haley.
Yeah.
So I said, "Just come on up here to Austin." And so he said, "Okay." So that's how we got Chase involved, and
Chase drove up here every
Chase
day for
drove up
like
here
4
to
years.
Austin for like 4 years, decorated in there and did a lot of stuff, and then he started having a family, and he said, "Man, I can't do this. I can't commute to Austin every damn week." And so he's got a little leather company thing now, started really doing well, Callaway Leatherworks. with my buddies at Republic Boot. He's done good there. But
And we're still going to try to poach him to help manage the Houston store.
yeah, we're still going to try to poach.
He helps
Yeah,
us
we're gonna
whenever
see.
we need.
He's still available, whatever,
Yeah.
but we just got to work it out. He's busy as ever now in his little thing, and so we'll see how that goes. But he was very valuable and worked. That's how we got Chase, and Hayden was the same way. Our other brother was, he was like, man, I hate my job. I want to try something. So I said, well, come over here. So he's still working with us. He does all of our purchasing and takes care of all, makes sure we have everything.
Yep.
And kind of a catch-all kind of thing. He's done everything here too. He's
Working on a video game now.
yeah, that's a big thing. He's got he's very in tune with what we're doing here and social media and in video game. He's created a video game, which it's a Haley Cakes video game, which will be coming out any minute. We're having our issues with some of the people, the platforms like Apple, the final touches, but it's going to be awesome. Yeah. Icing Blast by Haley Cakes. It's going to be cool.
But it's stuff like that. So it's like we've got this one company and then we've kind of trying to get different little branches going.
And that's a good thing too. You take the creativity of these people. A lot of people have good ideas. They don't know how to really bring them to life. You know, so we helped Hayden with his idea, kind of get him in the right direction. We talked to some people, and he has a lot of skills in that, so he was able to take it to the next level and get the video game going for us. So it's pretty cool.
So Larry said, "Don't hire any family," and then he
then all of
proceeded
a
to
sudden,
hire the whole family.
I know. Now they're all here, and I tell you, like Haley will tell you, it is kind of stressful at times because you don't have a real getaway. We go to Thanksgiving
and it's a business.
Haley will say, "Dad, just don't talk business," and then so we sit around and just stare at each other.
It's true because that's all you do.
Because that's all you kind of. And I'm sitting there chomping at the bit because I want to talk business all the time. That's what I do. I just talk. I want to talk all the time, and so I just kind of go. I'm getting all anxiety because I can't talk. Finally, somebody will launch out something.
Yeah,
and usually
it's always
it'll be Haley.
Or it's the in-law. Or it's like the sister-in-laws.
Yeah,
my brother's wives
who
don't work here. The two family members who don't work here.
Yeah, they're the ones that didn't want us to talk business. They get tired of hearing.
Yeah, they're tired.
They said, "Oh, y'all gonna sit around and talk business all the time.
We don't want to work there.
We don't want to work there." And they're right, you know. So we try to make a point not to do it. And when we were in Colorado, we didn't talk a lot of business, did we?
No,
I don't think so.
But we had the kids running.
We had the kids. Yeah, when you start having kids, you can't talk business anyway.
Yeah,
so
you can't even talk.
So it's all good. You can't even talk. Period. So yeah, that was all good. But
so
anyway, that's
what's next for Haley Cakes. What do you? I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that's one thing we always do. We have these business meetings, and I remember you pulling me aside. Business meetings. He pulled me aside at River Place, and they're probably to get away from you in the office, our only employee, and was like, "Look, I just want you to know. Do you want to stay? We can just stay doing this forever. Do you want to try to get bigger? And if you want to try to get bigger, sign this line right here." And it was because we were going to take on an investor.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Or incorporate or whatever. And I was
That's
like,
right.
well, yeah, like it's not really a choice, right? Like I just do it. We just got to do it.
That's right. I mean, I remember asking you this, if you want to stay, which was a great little business, you could have one location and probably make a good living, you know, for a couple people.
Yeah.
And you could just kind of easy, or do you want to try to go big? If you go bigger, you obviously everybody will have that decision. You got to take on maybe you got to go get more money, or you got to be, you know, start thinking differently. And so
how do you go about finding good money? Like that's
tough. It's always best to have something going that you can prove, hey, I started from this and now we're at this level. Look how well we've done, or it's easier that way. Starting from scratch is very tough. I've done it both ways. It's raising money is the hardest thing you'll ever do. I honestly say that. It's just very difficult. It's always best to go to family members first. That's the easy button. And even that's not hard. I mean, even that's not easy. But you go to family members if you can and help you fund the next level. But you better have your act together because you don't want to screw over your family. You don't want them to lose their money. And the same with an investor, because once you do, it's harder even ever to raise it again. Or two, it's just hard to recap when you get in a bad deal. So you really want to think through, but it's just like anything. You gotta lay out a good plan and convince somebody to see things like you see them. You know, that what your idea of growing is. Like, we want to open another location. You know, you better be prepared to answer the questions like we had to answer. Like, are you sure people are going to go to that location? And, you know, you have all your costs in line, and how you're going to, and if things go wrong, which was a thing that I remember doing. We had enough money to, you know, get started, but I knew that something happened. That's what most people don't plan for. What if something happens? I think that's a key.
Always get more.
Always
than
plan
you
to
think.
get more than you think, because something is going to always happen. And then the best ideas could have probably worked, but you don't have enough money to get you through the what if something happened deal. And it turns into a nightmare. And it ends right there. It's over. Whereas if they would have had just a little bit of extra staying power, they would have been a huge success. I see that all the time.
Yeah.
So whenever you're raising money, raise enough to cover the what if it doesn't work for a time period. Have a financial plan for your backup. That way, you'll more likely to succeed.
And you always have to think of taking that money means too.
What that means, yeah.
Because important to us has always been, we don't want to accept money if it means you're then going to ask for a financial report every single week or every, detailed in our business, because we want to be able to still run it how we want to run it.
Exactly. And that's important. People don't lose sight of that, what that money really cost them, and not necessarily in interest, but what it's really cost them in the way they do things, because they need to think hard about that, because every investor is going to want a certain amount of money back, obviously, but most of them are going to want to have some controls in the way you run your business. And,
shout out our investor. We love him. Who? Dean.
Oh, yeah, Dean.
We love him. He's great.
Him. We got the perfect investor. He's a longtime friend of mine. And he just invested because he felt sorry for me, I think. I think when he invested, he thought, I'm never going to see this money again. But Larry, I've known you for 100 years. Here's a gift. I really think, because that's just the way the timing was at the time. And he's just that kind of a guy. And I said, Dean, I will give you statements every month. He says, yeah, I want to see them. So I did about for 3 months. He goes, I don't want to see this crap.
Literally stop.
It's
depressing me.
You're
kidding, Dad.
Yeah. But anyway, he's great, man. Everybody's lucky enough to get a guy like that, but you wanna look for people like that, and you gotta find friends. He was a friend, and you have to find people like that, and that's the way. But be prepared, because most of them, if you go institutional money, like you just go Google investment banker or somebody, and man, they're going to be on you, man. Like the guys that bought my oil field company, oh shit, they're fine until something goes wrong. Then they come down, and then they're bringing in their people. You're basically working for them anyway. You don't realize it, but you work for them. It's the same if you borrow money from a bank. You're basically working for that bank from that point on. They're gonna want certain reports from you, and they're gonna come out and say, and they usually don't know anything about your business, but they'll be the first to tell you how to run it, and they'll get you off on rabbit trails and stress you out. And it's really, you look at yourself and go, this isn't worth it.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
So if you do have to do that, you just want to buy them out as soon as possible.
Yeah, you want to pay that loan off. If it's a bank, get them out of your hair, obviously. Yeah. If it's an investor, you want to make sure they're happy, and you want to do what you say you do. That's all you got to do, is do what you say you do. But just think through if you were them, you wouldn't want somebody running amok, running through all the money and paying you last. You want to make sure you got to be fair and really think through all that stuff. And usually a good investor will line all that out in writing. You're going to have to sign it, but make sure you know what you're looking at, reading. That's important. Get you good attorneys to help you wade through that stuff. But it's important, because otherwise people are so excited to even get money, and you usually are, because you've worked your ass off trying to find it. It's a difficult task. So when you get somebody ready to do it, you're so excited you just lose sight of what you're signing or what you're agreeing to. And 6 months in the deal or a year, you're going, oh man, I hate this. You're miserable. And then nobody wins. And then, it's just a bad thing. So really, that's the next thing. When you find money, be very aware of what you're getting into. Yeah. And that's a key.
What are you most excited for Haley Cakes? What's coming?
Oh.
Nothing. Shutting down.
Yeah. Closing it down and going back to Colorado and sitting on the river or something.
Do you ever plan to retire?
I think it'd be great. I don't think so. No, I could never retire. I don't think I'd I'd probably die next day. But it'd be nice to get it where it's not so much pressure on you, and at least in people. Get it where it's more on autopilot. I mean, that's what the goal, I think, is to get to where it's more of a, you know how a lot of places are like Tips Treats or what's the new one, Crumbles. They're basically a set system, and they put them in place like Starbucks. We got this so well organized and so well run. This is how we do things. We're just going to duplicate it. Yeah. I mean,
which is what I fight hard against, but at the same time, I want that too, because I don't want us to be like, oh, you can get that anywhere. Oh, you can get a crumble cookie, blah, blah, blah. Because I still want it to be personalized and cool. So I think that's why it's taken us longer than those places, just because we're trying to keep this cool factor while also launch. So it's a balance.
We're not even that type of business, so I don't think that'll ever happen for us because we're just not that tight. We're specialty, custom, and we're always changing. You're always coming up with new, which I think is what makes us unique. You're always coming up with new and trendy ideas and new things, and that's what drives our business. So, but there's got to be a happy medium there to where
of a little less everyday change. Maybe we're always like, maybe change it once a month.
Yeah, exactly. or still keep the change, but just figure out a way to do it where it's just not all one or two people. You know, if we could get better people that could learn that part of it, it'd be great. Or something, or automated or something. We've always talked about that, but automation is kind of a cool thing. That's exciting to me. I'm excited about that. If we could figure out some cool automation to make things easier for people. Yeah. It would never replace the people because there's just no way. Somebody's got to be there to watch it and learn it and do it and whatever. But it would make it easier if there was some cool automation that we could get our hands on. Yeah. That's exciting.
My dad's working a lot on our Houston location, so that's coming along. Yeah. We plan to open that hopefully in October.
Yeah, hopefully, man. It's supposed to.
It's so hard to get it all organized, but we're getting close.
It is. It's just one little hurdle after another. It's been a long, drawn-out process, and our customers are getting tired of hearing us talk about Houston. I even reluctant to even mention the H word because they're going, yeah, right. It makes us look bad, but I promise you it's coming before Christmas or before Halloween. Yeah. And then we're going to, it may be the death of me, but it's going to be coming, but that was all Haley. We're trying to figure out how we're going to keep it operating with product and stuff, but it's fun. That's exciting. When you open new places like that, that's always exciting and stuff. So it'll be fun. But it is fun. It's fun. I never thought it. Working with your daughter is always fun. Meeting new people like Lisa, it's fun. Working with young people. Back in the old field, everybody was my age or older. And,
I don't know. I would just say, I hope you leave this thinking you can start your own. It's good to do it young. You've got to have a lot of energy to start young.
Yeah, you do. Start young.
Just because you're young doesn't mean you can't start. You got to have a lot of energy. You got to be able to work really hard. So it's good to start young.
Exactly. You got to be able to work hard. And if you do need help. You can't do it all yourself. Even if you always gonna need pay. Go to people you trust and help you. We'll help you. Heck, call us. We'll help you out. Steer you in the right direction.
I know you need a dad. There you go. He'll help you. He'll tell you what to do.
We got a Rolodex. We got a big Rolodex.
Yeah. Claire's like
put you in the right direction.
Okay. Well, so I guess we'll wrap this one up, and next week y'all can expect we're going to try to get my friend Kathleen on, and she's going to talk about just celebrating people and kind of employees in the workplace and your friends who are entrepreneurs. She's just really good at tapping into celebrating who people are, which is also what we as a family have always tried to do with our employees as well, kind of make them feel like part of the family. And I hope you kind of take away from this one just getting a start. So you can always start by doing more research and just gathering the people around you who are going to be able to help you get your idea going. So we'll see y'all next week.
Bye.
Cool.